another week, another fantasy football devastating week of injuries, honestly. And we didn't even have that many injuries. We just had one main one, and it was Omari and Hampton. So Omari and Hampton going down with the ankle injury. He's on IR now, going to miss at least the next 4 weeks. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out tonight. I'm going to be answering all of your trade questions. If you have team reviews that you want to be done for your redraft teams, I'm here to help you out. I know a lot of you guys are feeling the impact. I know plenty of my teams are feeling the impact of Hampton going down for a quarter of the season now. So again, if you would like to get any trade question answered, start sits, team reviews, etc., I got you covered today, guys. You can follow the link that is in the comments. And it's also pinned in the chat for you there as well. But I will say, Avery, some people are saying Avery's probably in shambles right now. Avery has to be down bad. Just sold Kyron. Yeah, he's not feeling great. I mean, if I were him, I would be pretty devastated as well. I will say he's put himself in a pretty good position to be successful down the line, because in the short run, he's now 3-2. And you're, going to be going the next 4 weeks without Hampton, but you have Rashad White, who's playing in place of Bucky Irving, who's going to be down for the next week or two. So really, I mean, in the short run, it sucks, but he has a lot of insurance plays in the short run, not to mention Rashee Rice coming back from suspension. So I think of all the teams to be built to kind of survive this, it would be his team. So I know he's frustrated, but there are some teams that if they had suffered from that injury in the Flock League, they'd be done for the year. I do not think that Avery is out of it necessarily. So again, follow this link if you want to get your trade questions answered tonight, guys. I'm happy to help you out. I'll get to some of the comments in the chat for you. But we got a good number of trade questions, a few team reviews to do as well already. But we got a good game tonight. Hopefully, Kansas City taking on Jacksonville. Going to see if BTJ can finally break out this season. See if Travis Hunter can do anything at all. See what if Xavier Worthy's even going to be a go. Last time I heard he was questionable. I think he's a game time decision. We'll see what happens there and what his usage is going to look like. But Joe says Kamara for BTJ. I would wait until after tonight and see what happens. I would lean BTJ. Kamara can't really get anything going in that offense. It's pretty bad in New Orleans. Hampton owners all here? I hope so. Cards man. I'm a Hampton owner, so I'm here. It is going to really hurt for sure. Trade away CMC and Henderson and Goff for Bucky and JSN. Yeah, I would take Bucky and JSN there pretty comfortably. I'm good taking that side. In one of my leagues, I have Hampton on the IR, Neighbors, and Connor. Yeah, that sucks. That's just that's one where you probably have to throw in the towel for the year. Honestly, I have a team like that where literally half my starting lineup through the first 3 weeks were either significantly impacted from someone getting injured on their team, or they themselves were injured or on IR. So like that team is screwed. It's going to be rough for sure. So Vidal or Haskins. I don't want to give away my trade secrets. No, just kidding. I would lean Kimani Vidal. I know Hassan Haskins has been there longer. Kimani Vidal is the younger guy. Vidal had a couple of productive games last year. Hassan Haskins has had a couple of games where he's gotten good usage as well, including the very end of last season. If I were to guess, again, it was an even split with their snap share once Hampton left the game yesterday. I would probably put my money on Kimani Vidal. I think that he is a little more explosive than Haskins is. I don't think Haskins is going to get zero work. But you did even see, like last season, you saw a little bit of receiving capability for Vidal in the small amount of time that he got usage and opportunity. But I mean, there were some games where he had like 50-60% of snap share, and he really didn't get much opportunity because he was kind of the passing down back. So that's going to be interesting to look at for sure. I would lean Vidal, I think, though. I think that would be my upside shot. Again, I think it's probably going to be a toss-up between those two, but I would be pretty generous with the shots that I take with Vidal and Haskins and waivers if you're a Hampton owner, because you're probably going to want one of those guys in the meantime as a potential flex option when bye weeks start piling up. Another loss. Do you think Michael Carter could save my fantasy team? I don't know. I mean, he might be saving my fantasy team. I got him in the Flock League for $17. I think I mentioned it in the video earlier, but the video previously in the Flock League channel. But what did he do? Drop like 18 points. I didn't start him obviously because I was at full strength, no bye weeks yet. Now I have, I think, Jefferson and Addison on bye this week, so Carter will be in my flex. Crossing my fingers that he gets a lot of usage. I honestly, one of the best things that could have happened for me is DeMarcado fumbling at the goal line last game, because legit he's probably going to get like no usage next week because of that. He'll be in the doghouse. So that's really going to narrow it down to Michael Carter and Bam Knight. And when you looked at that usage between Bam Knight, Michael Carter, and Amari DeMarcado that entire game, it was Michael Carter getting like 75% of the work. Bam Knight got like one red zone drive, but the rest was Michael Carter. So I think Carter's going to be a solid flex option from here on out. I'm really glad that I took the shot on him. I hope you guys were able to as well. But Carter greater than Henry next week. Yeah, I think you have to start Derrick Henry every single week, unfortunately. That's kind of a decision that I don't really want to talk about yet because I'm not willing to, I know this is me just coping because I own Derrick Henry in the Flock League, but I'm not as frustrated as I am and miserable as I am that Derrick Henry looks awful. You kind of have to start him. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as what were we just mentioning earlier? A couple of running backs that were disappointing, underwhelming, where it's like you have to start him. Kyron Williams starting slow. It's like, yeah, I mean, sorry, you got to start Kyron every single week and it's going to pay off. And, then he drops 30 plus. So it's kind of that type of thing. Henry salvages a day last week with a goal line carry at the end of the game. It would have been really ugly if he didn't get that. But again, I do think I do think you're going to see better weeks than what you've seen over the past couple. So playing Carter over Chase Brown next week, we're at that point. Yeah, no, that's one where I would agree there, because Chase Brown is not a Derrick Henry caliber or Derrick Henry level or running back. And if you're faced between Carter and Brown, who hasn't ever produced at all this season, like at a high level, then I would go ahead and go with Carter. All right, guys, let's do some trade questions here. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Drop them in the chat. I'll get to some in the chat if I can, but again, we're going to be prioritizing the ones on the site, so follow this link if you'd like to get those answered. All right. So first trade question is going to be from FF Jim. FF Jim, appreciate you submitting, man. So, a couple of questions here. Yeah, here we go. So, we're looking at a mid-first. This is actually a Dynasty. A first for George Kittle. Now, I'm holding the first here. George Kittle, pretty volatile. Obviously, you saw that with the injury, him going down. He's already lost a decent amount of value. He's older. I would stick with that 26 first. If I were to pay a first for a tight end, I would do it for Warren or Kraft. That's probably it. Woody Marks, Olave, and McBride, also Dynasty for a first, Ladd and Loveland. Well, I take McBride over Ladd. Marks and Olave, first, second, and Loveland. Can we get a different receiver than Ladd? Does he have a different receiver here? No, he does not. Oh, gosh. I'll call this one fair. I do think Ladd is losing. This is a 27 first. Honestly, let's hold the McBride side. I don't want to package Marks and McBride and Olave all in the same deal here. Let's hold there. Trades for days. Appreciate you, man. This is Nico and Drake London for Jamar Chase, also in the Dynasty. I will hold on to Nico and Drake London here. 10 team start 9. Yeah, still going to hold Nico and London. Bit too much of an overpay there, in my opinion. All right, this is Brady, Kyron Williams for Brees in a Dynasty. It's really funny. We just talked about this. Avery and I did in a video. We argued about this. We don't necessarily agree. I'm going to call this one fair, and I'll just say if you are contending and you want to pivot from Brees to Kyron, I am totally okay with that. If you are reloading or rebuilding, there's no reason for you to trade Brees for another contending running back like Kyron Williams. I would rather you trade Brees for like Henderson or Rashee Rice. But there's no reason for you to, if you're getting Brees Hall, I would probably just hold Kyron here if I were you personally. I'll call it fair because they're in the same value range, but I do prefer Kyron. He's in a much better situation this season. And assuming you're doing that as a contender, like I would just stick with Kyron. T. Wilhelm, we've got, I'm thinking I should trade Kittle and Henderson to upgrade. This is a team review. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. We got Sinister Fury. This is Jordan Mason, Ricky Pearsall, and a redraft for Woody Marks and Quentin Johnston. So Marks and Mason in the same tier. I do prefer QJ over Ricky Pearsall. I'm fine with this. I'll take the Marks and QJ side. I'm good with that in a 10-team start 8. No issues there, especially with the Hampton injury. That does actually benefit a lot of the receivers in that offense. They're probably going to have to pass a lot. And I do think that does help QJ quite a bit, honestly. This is another redraft, the True King. This is Cam Scatterbo and Tet McMillan for Quinshawn and Zay Flowers. Okay. So Tet versus Zay, same tier for me, and then I do prefer Judkins over Scatterbo, so I would take Quinshawn and Zay here. I know it's a little rocky with Zay in his current situation, but he's actually maintained his production, so I would go ahead and take him there. Tet's your upside shot, but I think Judkins' outlook is a little better than Scatterbo's, more consistent. All right. So, should I trade ETN for Diggs full PPR? Travis Etienne for Stephon Diggs? Absolutely not. No way. No way. Definitely want to go with the productive running back who's looking to be a running back 1. Stephon Diggs is a wide receiver 4 at best. They are not even in the same ballpark. What did Diggs do yesterday? Yeah, 24 points on 12 targets, 10 receptions. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of... I don't think you're going to see this every week with Stephon Diggs. I know there's a little excitement with what he did yesterday, but no, I trust Hampton the rest of the season much more than I do Diggs. Drake May looked decent. He didn't have any touchdowns, actually, but they obviously got the win, and he had that nice drive at the end of the game. So that was good to see for him, if you're a fan of Drake May. All right, so let's do a couple of team reviews here. We've got one from Caffeine. This is 1-3, possibly about to be 1-4 after this week without a miracle. League mates won't trade unless it's a deal obscenely in their favor. Am I just screwed? Not sure how to pick up the pieces. Yeah, let's check this out, man. Nick at Night. You are third in the power rankings here. Points for. Looks like you're at the bottom of the league in points for, second to last. And you have Jefferson, Olave. You have injuries with Evans, Bucky, Benson, Henderson disappointing, RJ disappointing, Rashee Rice suspended. Okay. So I'm assuming you're going to be 1-4 this week. So here's what we got to do in situations like this. This is where it becomes crunch time, where you got to kind of salvage your team, and this is where I would start taking some aggressive upside shots, like very, very aggressive upside shots, where it's like, hey, if it doesn't work out, okay, you are 1-4 anyways. If it does work out, it could save your season. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take, again, I'm going to compare our rest of season rankings here to the rest of the site. We're going to take Chris Olave. That's going to be our first move here. And we are going to pivot to Jalen Waddle. Or we're going to pivot to Quentin Johnston. Chris Olave obviously could have more productive rest of season outlook than both of those guys. It's very possible. his upside just straight up is not as high as that of Jalen Waddle or QJ now with the Hampton injury. So if you could pivot from Olave to one of those guys, I would absolutely do it. If you can't get either one of those guys, Lab McConkey is another option as well. Again, apply the same thing I said about QJ, apply it to Lab McConkey. You can go take the upside shot on Lab McConkey. He does have a higher ceiling than Chris Olave does. Second move I would make here is probably an up tier. I would take probably Mike Evans, Matthew Golden, Alec Ioman, or some sort of like mix there. And I would go ahead and snag Devonta Smith or Deebo Samuel. I would take either one of those guys. If you could get up to Brian Thomas, especially if he has a slow day today, I would totally do that. Honestly, you could add that as another option for like Chris Olave or Mike Evans up tier, is get BTJ. And again, I want to make that a comment, or probably the main verdict on your team is just, you got to go balls to the wall here and take upside shots. Upside shots are the key to you potentially saving your season here, and they definitely lie at the wide receiver position. Do not trade Rashee Rice. Do not trade him. Try to get like one more win until Rashee Rice comes back. Like if you lost this week, assuming you did, just try to get that win next week, end up 2-4. And once Rashee is back, that's really going to boost your wide receiver room, and then you should be okay there. At the running back position, with Bucky Irving being out in the near future, you may have to move off of him. But what I'm going to do here is probably take Jordan Mason and Woody Marks and try to up tier there. So Jordan Mason and Woody Marks, let's try to get up to Cam Scatterbo. Or let's take the upside shot with Kenneth Walker. I would go with Walker or Scatterbo. You obviously know what the week-to-week upside is with Walker. That's something that, again, it's a toss-up any given week, but he could potentially go on a tear, and you never know when it's going to happen, right? He's got risk injury, or he's got risk of injury. He's got that history, obviously, but again, that's not something you can think about right now. You've just got to stack up wins in the short term and then kind of reevaluate later. Another thing that I would consider, just as a side note, is you really could get by just fading tight end. I know you have Tyler Warren, and that's really great, but Tyler Warren is not something that he's not an asset that's required for you to have success on this team. And it almost is costing you to hold him on your team when you could get a very productive asset at running back or wide receiver, which you could really use right now in your flex. And you can just fade tight end, stream him every single week, and get a guy that has 12 to 15 point upside every single week. I mean, that's about what Warren's doing right now. So when you're looking in the value range of those guys, kind of in the 40s, you're looking at Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara type guys, or like George Pickens, Deebo Samuel, that value range again for Tyler Warren. I would move any of those guys for Tyler Warren. So hopefully that helps. Again, just take upside shots on waivers as well, like a Josh Downs, something like that. So Josh Downs honestly is the most valuable player available on waivers, and that's looking to be about it, honestly. But that's going to be our priority for your team here, is just taking those high upside, high ceiling shots and trying to salvage this rough start at 1-4. So hopefully that helps you, man. We're happy to help, and let me know if you have any follow-up questions on this. Appreciate you. We've got one from Muka2394. Let me refresh real quick here. And again, guys, if you want to get your start, sit, or trade questions answered, feel free to follow this link. We've got Muka2394. This is trying to improve QB position, not the easiest league to trade in. Lots of running back depth that can be used to upgrade QB. Any trade ideas to improve QB or the team overall? Yeah, so let's look into this. Team name is The Outsiders. You're 3-1. Just based off of who I'm seeing as your players that you had this week, you may have been able to bring this home. You may have gotten the dub. Who knows? It could be decided by tonight. But Bo Nix, fine. At QB, it's serviceable. Quinshawn, Bucky, Scattaboo, Warren, Chase Brown. I mean, at full strength, Henderson, that's still a great roster, even in a 10-team start 8 at running back. Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, Sutton. You really do have a high floor there with Chris Godwin as well. And then Jake Ferguson ends up, he's looking to be one of the best investments in fantasy football this season compared to the price that it costs to go acquire him. So moves that I think could improve this team. A start 8, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rashid technically on the bench right now. That will eventually be Sutton, Godwin, Warren, Chase Brown. We got to make some up tiers here. So I want to take my fringe flex running backs, and I want to make an up tier here. So let's move Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown. Let's package both of those guys. And let's get up to, I would try to, in a 10 team, take the upside shot and try to get Derrick Henry. Kofi, by the way, Kofi, I don't know if you're on the stream, but if that's another upside shot that you could take at running back, honestly, is take a shot on Derrick Henry. A lot of people are really low on Derrick Henry right now. And again, if you're like a 1-4 team, he's a good shot to take in case he starts popping off in the near future, and then you may have just saved your fantasy football team. But Warren and Chase Brown, if we get up there, Derrick Henry would be a target for sure, and then I think Travis Etienne would be another target. You are 3-1. I'm going to give you another target here as well, Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton going down on IR for 4 weeks. Since you're 4-1 and you're not going to have an issue with flexing guys with Rashee Rice coming back from the suspension, again, you're looking at starting probably 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers because you're so loaded there, and then a tight end and a QB. Like, dude, you could go afford Omarion Hampton and get him at a discount before he comes back healthy off of IR. This is the type of team where I would have you target Hampton at a discount. Second move that I would do here is Bo Nix. How consistent has Bo Nix really been this season? Not bad. 21, 13, 26, and 17 points. I'm looking at where he's ranked in the rest of the season rankings right now. He's right there back-to-back with Dak and Herbert and Caleb Williams. I would target Caleb Williams or Dak Prescott. They're both going to have more consistent target volume. I know that's kind of a boring like quarterback move, but I do think it matters. And I do want to increase that passing volume opportunity for you if you're going to have a non-rushing QB. And I think Dak Prescott just offers a little bit more. Like you've had games where Bo Nix has thrown it 40 times. You've also had a couple games where he's thrown it 25 to 30 times. And Dak is throwing upwards of 50 times a game. It was kind of fluky against the Jets. He only threw 29 times because they were up so early and they were dominating. But from here on out, man, you're looking at Dak being one of the highest passing volume QBs in the NFL. And then a third move here that I would make is probably let's take Jaylen Warren and Chris Godwin, some combination of those two guys, and I would up tier there as well. Probably want to go for I would go for Brees or take the shot on Kamara. If you want to take a shot on either one of those guys, maybe a little bit higher. If you want to go more of the wide receiver route, where Godwin is currently being ranked, I would try to get up. Actually, I like this a little more. Devonta Smith is like a bench piece insurance play. I really like that in a 10-team start 8 because he's an upside guy. Once bye weeks come in, maybe you struggle with a couple of injuries for a few weeks, you can plug in Devonta Smith and feel pretty good about that. So let's do that instead. Let's do Godwin, Warren, and let's get up to Devonta Smith, or take the shot on Lab McConkey as well. Lab McConkey in a 10 team is going to be pretty cheap, so I would try to do that if you could pull it off. Hopefully that helps with ideas for this team, but again, this is more just like touch-up work, basically just solidifying your status as being a top team in this league with really high production upside. And as with Bucky Irving being out for the next couple of weeks, you have the depth at running back to salvage that. You're going to be totally fine there. And we just want to maximize your upside. You have a good amount of depth. Depth doesn't matter as much in a 10-team start 8. So let's try to raise that upside as much as possible. Appreciate you, man. Let me know if you have any questions or follow-ups on that. Avery's on the chopping block right now in the chop league. I heard he's freaking out. Steezy said, what do I do with Derrick Henry? We're leaning hold right now. We're leaning hold. Again, guys, if you want to get your trade questions or start sits answered tonight, any team reviews, feel free to follow the link that is pinned in the comments, or again, just follow the same one that I'm dropping in the chat right now. All right, T. Wilhelm. We've got Pines of Rome. You are 3-1 as well. Looking like you're in a pretty decent situation here. In terms of points for, actually, you are very low. You are actually third to last in points for, but you've been able to get 3 wins here. Chase has been disappointing. Pearsall has been injured. Drake London on bye. George Kittle injured. Henderson disappointing. Bucky Irving injured. Harvey disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm very impressed that you've been able to swing this. Number one priority here is Calvin Ridley off of waivers in a 12-team start 8 PPR format. I would drop a significant amount of your waiver budget on Calvin Ridley and Rachaad White. I actually, given your current running back room, I would drop a fat chunk of my waiver dollars on Rachaad White. I would outbid everyone. That's my final verdict for this team. That's my main point for this team. Is you need to do everything you possibly can. If you need to overspend to get Rachaad White off of waivers, spend all your fab dollars on Rachaad White, because basically you're just locking down a running back room that is guaranteed to be productive rest of season regardless of injury. Whether Bucky's down, whether Rachaad White is down, you're locking it down. So Rachaad White, after a 20-plus point game performance this week, I think you got to be buying high there. Definitely worth it there. And then Ridley would be my second option, my second priority. Rico Dowdle also. I'm shocked that every single one of these guys is available on waivers in your league. Dowdle, Ridley, and Rachaad White. Rachaad White and Dowdle should have been picked up immediately and flexed by some teams in your league because of those injuries that happened in front of them this week, and they're available on waivers. That's crazy. So moves that I want to make here, aside from the waivers, obviously, which I just made a point about. Harold Fannin, and I would be trading away Harold Fannin. Just fading QB and trying to get anything for Harold Fannin, honestly. That's kind of just a side note, but I think, make an up tier here. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you can make an up tier here, but let's look at shopping Ricky Pearsall. I think I would just pivot from Ricky Pearsall, honestly. I don't super trust him in a situation. I would just rather have Devonta Smith or DK Metcalf. I would take either one of those guys over Ricky Pearsall. They're looking pretty solid in their situations. They're boom bust. So is Pearsall. DK and Devontae are healthy. So I would go ahead and take the Ricky shot there. And you already have Kittle. I don't want to be over-invested in that offense in San Fran once everybody's back healthy. Second move that I would do here is probably I would shop Matthew Golden. At this point, I would move Matthew Golden for Stephon Diggs. Someone did mention that. At a mid wide receiver 4 price, I would just take the shot on the guy who's getting over the last couple of weeks has got a decent amount of target volume and is looking pretty solid in Stephon Diggs. Matthew Golden, who knows how long it's going to take for him to break out. And they kind of like to establish their offense through the run anyways. The Patriots are just in love with fumbling the ball with Ramondre Stevenson and not having a serious run game. So until then, I mean, Stephon Diggs could be decently productive or at least have bigger boom games than like what Matthew Golden's going to offer in the near future. So that's an option there. You can also take a shot on, if you could swing Jordan Addison, I would go for that. Even if you have to pay a depth piece to trade up to get Jordan Addison, I would do that for Matthew Golden. They're actually not that far apart in the rest of the season rankings on the site. Jordan Addison at wide receiver 36 and Matthew Golden at wide receiver 41. They're in the same tier, actually. On ADP, they're not that far apart. Third move that I'd be looking at here is, honestly, I would probably shop RJ Harvey, and I would go ahead and just move him for I would move him for J.K. Dobbins. I know the cute thing right now is to say that Harvey's going to take over Dobbins' role. He very well could. The guy who's producing right now is J.K. Dobbins, and you need that production right now in your running back room. Third guy that I would target, or second guy I would target there is Woody Marks. Woody Marks is another decent option. David Montgomery, I know a running back too in his offense. He's another solid option. So any one of those guys is going to be available. Dobbins, Monty, Marks would be those types of guys that I would target. Like, they're all in committee backfields, but they are all producing right now, and RJ Harvey just isn't really consistently. So I would take a shot on any of the other ones that are just putting up points right now, because you need that in your running back room. And then again, just kind of a general recommendation here. Harold Fannin, I know you've been using him while Kittle has been injured. Kittle should be back soon. I would shop Harold Fannin, and I would probably just go for another position, and then you can just kind of stream tight ends off of waivers until Kittle is back, which should be no earlier than this week, no later than probably next week. When is he eligible to come back? He went on IR. He's missed 4 games already. 1, 2, 3, 4. He may be ready to come back against Tampa. He's a long shot to play in week 6. They said he's likely to return the following week. So really, you have to survive 1 week without Fannin if you're to trade him. Use Fannin as that throw-in to get that up tier done from RJ Harvey or like Ricky Pearsall or Matthew Golden if you want to get an up tier done at one of those options, one of those recommendations. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps, man. Let me know if you have any follow-ups or questions on this. Appreciate you. That was a 10 team, right? 12 team. All right. So, let me refresh here, see if any of you guys have submitted any questions. I'll answer some in the chat for a bit for you guys if not. Ensab, appreciate you, man. He said, I know he wants Baker. This is the Dynasty question. I could do Smith. Just worried about my depth after, even though it's start 8. This is Baker Mayfield and Devonta Smith for Josh Allen in a Dynasty 12-team start 8 PPR. Brother, if you can get Josh Allen here, this is a 1 QB. This is a 1 QB. So let me make sure this is a start 8. You have Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield. You have Jacobs, Javonte, Judkins, JSN, Tet, Rashee Rice, Nico, and Waller. This ain't bad. This is not bad, but actually here just for a point of reference here, in a 1 QB, I'm always hesitant to trade up for QBs. Allen has had 38, 23, 25, and 20 points. Baker has been just as consistent, 22, 19, 17, 19, and 26 points. Baker right now is the QB2 in fantasy football. Josh Allen is the QB1. Obviously, Josh Allen's going to have higher upside. He's more insulated, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to call this deal fair. I do think it is worth getting Josh Allen long-term as like a dynasty asset, even in a 1 QB. You're right. It will hurt your depth a little bit. Any chance that you could do Jordan Love instead of Baker, and I would be cool with that. But yeah, I mean, as far as raising your upside here, I'm all for it because you do have Rashee Rice coming back, and you should be fine there. You have Michael Carter as a flex play right now. Hassan Haskins is a flex play right now. So, like, yeah, I'll call this fair. I'm good with this move. Appreciate you, Nsab. All right, so he only wants Baker. He has Igbuka. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Bro's not taking Jordan Love and Devonta Smith for Josh Allen. LeMayo, like what? This is a dynasty league, so Devonta Smith does carry a good amount more of value. That trade question was a dynasty league, so that's why they were looking at that. But no, I'm good taking Josh Allen there for sure. Thoughts on Drake London in the future? Also Matthew Golden and Pearsall. Well, I just recommended some potential up tiers from Golden and Pearsall. There are some guys in the value range of both of those wide receivers that I prefer more. I think they'll be more consistent. Honestly, just have higher short-term upside. So if you like need that immediate production, then I'm fine doing it, like trading them away. But London I would hold. Surely I'd drop Browning for Mac Jones, right? Yes. Mac Jones' passing production is awesome. His passing volume is sick. You're good, Sauce. You're good. Am I crazy for wanting to start AJ Barner over Tongs, Kraft, and Njoku? No, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, he's had 2 really solid weeks. Njoku did see a significant amount of work with Dylan Gabriel at the helm now at QB for Cleveland. So I do think he's a good option this week. But no, if you want to start Barner, I'm totally fine with that. They're all streamable tight end options that have productive upside. Is Scatterboo for Sutton a fair trade? Give me Sutton all day in redraft. Give me Sutton all day. All right. Again, guys, if you want to get your trade questions answered, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to submit those if you have any, but if not, then hope y'all enjoy the game tonight. I know for me, spoiler alert, I won in the Flock League this week already. Zach and I didn't have any guys playing tonight, so this is going to be my first night in like 21 days, 3 weeks, that I've been able to enjoy a Monday Night Football game without having like game-winning implications or game-losing implications. So I'll just be chillaxing, enjoying the show tonight. It'll be really nice. Am I wrong to want to drop Ray Davis in my dynasty to grab either Haskins or Vidal? No, you're not wrong at all. Those guys are going to be on the field. Starting opportunity, Ray Davis does not. So that's a big thing that I think a lot of people are going to struggle with or be considering is like, hey, who do I sacrifice when I'm going to get Haskins or Vidal off of waivers? Anyone who is currently an injury away from being the lead back but is not, aka they are the unquestioned running back 2 and will not get a full bit of workload until the guy in front of them gets hurt, you just have to drop them for the guy who is actually starting, and that is Haskins and or Vidal. You're looking at probably a 50-50 split between both of them. I think they're both going to be relevant. It's kind of a coin toss who it's going to be. But it definitely is worth taking the shot on one of them as opposed to a guy like Kendry Miller. Like, for example, I have Kendry Miller on the Flock League. He's the type of guy that, like, you would need to drop, that I will need to drop for Vidal or Haskins if I want to take a shot on either of them. Caleb Johnson as well. Like, Caleb Johnson, with the one time Warren went down with an injury, you're like, okay, this is his chance. He got 21% snap share and they use Gainwell. So, like, realistically, Caleb Johnson is 2 injuries away from getting a bunch of work. Like, I know y'all just dropped a video, Derrick Henry being a buy, but I sold him and Jordan Mason on Saturday for London, Addison, and Swift. That was a good deal. I like the London, Addison, and Swift move. Yeah, it is very nice and relaxing compared to the crap I've been going through the last couple weeks. Kyron for James Cook. Yeah, I'd take James Cook there after a slow day for James Cook. He has less, honestly, receiver production to contend with in that offense where they, again, are kind of a run-first offense. He does have good touchdown upside and capability. Do you think, obviously, you have a higher floor with Kyron Williams and what is, in my opinion, a better offense, but the consistent ceiling that James Cook has really been showcasing in the first month of the season before this dud week against New England, like, I think that's what you're going to get for most of the year. So I would buy James Cook low if you have a chance to. Yeah. After one slow game, every running back has a slow game here and there. Would you prefer BTJ rest of the season or Xavier Worthy? Probably BTJ still I would give the upper hand to because he is a 2 in his respective offense. Praying for BTJ to do anything. Yeah, I know a lot of people tonight are. Worthy or BTJ need 10 points tonight. That is a tall order. It feels like a tall order, at least, for both of those guys, because they haven't been able to do anything. Well, BTJ. Xavier Worthy has been fine. Or he was fine last week in his first full game back. You guys told me to relax. Starting 0-2 in the blueprint. Now going to be 3-2 is nice, but lost neighbors in Hampton is not nice. Yeah, that sucks, Falky. A lot of people are really struggling with that Hampton injury now because they were already struggling with the neighbor's injury, trying to recover from him going down, Burrow going down, Higgins being irrelevant now that Burrow is down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That does suck. That really is highly, highly, highly unfortunate. But look on the bright side. You are 3-2. You've got a 4-week window of having to survive without Omari and Hampton, and I'm willing to bet that you can probably do it. And if you have questions, Falky, on that team, feel free to. We're happy to look at it for you again. Happy to look at it for you again and give you some fresh ideas on what to do in the short run while Hampton is out. So, need 20 tonight. Start Worthy or BTJ. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh boy. Worthy had 8 targets last week, 17 points against Baltimore. Jacksonville's defense isn't anything special. KC's is pretty decent. Here's the thing. Jacksonville's production has been coming from their running back room. KC's production has been coming from their wide receivers. I will go with Worthy tonight because I think that defensive matchup is friendlier than the defensive matchup for BTJ. That is a really, really tough decision. Hampton might be on IR for longer than 4 weeks, so yeah, he very well could be. I got you, Neil. Yeah, of course. Nathan, if you're in a winnable position tonight, what do you need? If you are in a winnable position tonight, what do you need? What do you mean? Elaborate, Chris. I don't know what you're saying. Like me personally, I'm more than in a winnable position. Like I won. All right, Nihal. This is redraft 12 team start 8 PPR. This is Herbert, Henderson, and Michael Carter. For Woody Marks and Krosky Merritt and Drake May. Oh boy. Oh brother. We do have Krosky Merritt and Woody Marks ranked higher than both of these guys. I will go ahead and be fine taking Krosky Merritt and Marks here. You have the rushing upside in Drake May. You have Krosky Merritt, who looks like he's having his coming out party, and Woody Marks is just he had a bad day. But he is in a committee backfield, whereas Michael Carter is a lead back in the short run, but not long term. And Henderson, who knows? Who knows when they're gonna start realizing that fumbling is screwing them and they need to go to him full time. Like, I'll call this fair. I'm fine taking May, Krosky Merritt, and Marks here. That's a good question there, Nihal. If I want, yeah, what do I need for the Flock League? Yeah, no, what I need is nothing. Like it's locked down. It's closed. I won. Read the message too. It talks about the other positions or the other options. Yeah, I know he wants Baker plus. I could do Smith. Just worried about my depth after, even though it's start 8. No. So Nihal, I would not trade Smith if I were you. I would keep it to what you did or that first option that you gave me, which was the running backs pivot to the other running backs. I would rather do that and get the rushing upside upgrade in Drake May than I would be moving off of Devonta Smith right now. Devonta Smith is outproducing AJ Brown. So I feel like it's kind of a Lad McConkey sort of situation in Philadelphia where it's like, yeah, we know AJ Brown's the number one there. We know Lad is the number one there schematically, but all the attention that he grabs is helping Keenan Allen and QJ produce at a higher level. Same thing's kind of applying to Devonta Smith right now. Nihal said that's not the message. Okay, let me go back and look. If it was Tootin instead of Woody or just a 3 for 2. Here we go. I saw it. For whatever reason, it didn't load. He might try to rebuttal with Tootin instead of Woody. Would you do that too? Would you also do it if this just Michael Carter for nobody added to it on his side? So no, I would not do this deal if you're getting Bashal Tootin instead of Woody Marks. The difference between Tootin and Woody is Woody's getting relevant fantasy productive work, and Bashal Tootin is a backup to ETN. Woody Marks is not playing second fiddle to Tootin or to Chubb. That is an even 50-50 split right now. Tootin and ETN there's not an even split. Tootin is ETN's backup objectively, so that would be a move where I would not be willing to make that move. Would you also do it if it's just Michael Carter for nobody added to it on his side? So are you saying just Michael Carter for who? Woody Marks? Like if it were Michael Carter for Woody Marks, I'm fine taking Marks there because I think that the long-term play the long-term upside play would lie with Woody Marks. Short term probably favors Michael Carter. Long term, you're going to have more relevance long term from Woody Marks, in my opinion. Hopefully that makes sense, man. Yes, I'm very yay. I have not needed a win more badly than I needed that one. Really, really, really wish I was 3-2, but I'm not going to be unthankful that I got a win this week. Better than being 1-4, you know. So I'm 2-3 now. I think there are like 4 or 5 teams in the league that are 2-3 or 3-2. They're within a game of each other right now. It's looking to be another pretty even league again in the Flock League through the first 5 weeks at least. And clearly everyone right now is 1 injury away, and a lot of those injuries are starting to pile up. 3 for 2, Henderson, Carter, Herbert for JCM and May. No, I would not do that. I would only do it if you're getting JCM, Marks, and May. That's already so fair, like down the line, already so fair that I would not take any less, and I would not take Tootin. So only doing that exact deal that you submitted. If he's asking for you to get less in return, then I'm not making the deal. I would play hardball there. I would stick to your guns. With Gibson out there, we finally have some work for Hendo. I start to hate Patriots coaches. Yeah, so Henderson, his snap share usage actually went up to 50% when Gibson went down with the injury. He is actually going to be out for the rest of the season with the ACL. That forces Henderson to get more work, and hopefully that greater volume of work helps him kind of get in more of a groove and then really overtake Ramondre's job. Ramondre is trying so hard to lose his job, and for whatever reason, they keep giving him chances. It is driving me insane. This dude cannot hold on to the ball, and he has not been able to since he came into the league. It legitimately is infuriating. The win for you was so important. Time for Henry to hold on to the ball and Marv catch balls. Yeah, Marv was catching balls when in the Tennessee game. They just stopped throwing him the ball. They're like, oh, we need to make it a focal point of getting the ball to Marvin Harrison in the first quarter and a half. And then after that, they're like, who's Marv? Who's he? I don't know who he is. He looked great. I am more of the opinion now than I was previously that Marv is not the problem. Marv is always open, and they do not throw him the ball. Kyler does not throw him the ball because he doesn't look for him. Kyler's improv is like incapable of looking for Marvin Harrison Jr. when he's improvising, which is really, really bad for an X wide receiver because he's not patient enough to wait for Marv to get down the field. They have the Colts this week, so we'll see what happens there. I'll be emotionally torn again because I want the Colts to win, but I really want Marv to have a good day. Hey, KT Aggie. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's not my birthday, though. I will let you know when it is my birthday. All right, guys. Got a trade question from Psychality, and then I think we'll call it here. We've got 6 teams, start 7. Oh, gosh. Quinshawn, Odunze, and Nico in a 6-team start 7. You just lost Hampton. You have Genty, Jacobs, Bijan. You have JSN, Ikbuka. You have Ferguson. You have Baker. Take Puka and win your league. In a 6-team start 7, take Puka. That's an upside shot, and that'll win for you. Cardinals were also a joke to lose a game. Cardinals lose the last 3 games mainly because they're not smart/stupid. Yeah, facts. That is so true. Anyone checked on Avery with the Hampton news? Yeah, I've been checking on him, trying to work him in a trade, actually. Just kidding. He's shopping around for serviceable running backs in the short term, and I just got Michael Carter, so I was like, honestly, if you want Michael Carter, I don't necessarily need him. But I think I might just stick with Carter, honestly, because it's some decent production upside of my flex while while J-Jeff and Addison are out on the bye this week. Yeah, no, Psychality, you're not crazy. In a 6-team start 7, you're getting the best player in fantasy football with objectively the highest upside of any asset in Dynasty in fantasy football this year. So you cannot beat the best asset in fantasy football in a 6-team start 7. He is essentially invaluable in that format because it's just how much can you maximize your upside, and he's a level above everybody else. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And hope you enjoy the game tonight. We will, again, be on stream soon, probably later this week. Avery will be doing one on Wednesday for sure. We'll just be talking more about the injuries, how to adjust, some moves to make, etc. Really appreciate you guys, as always. Been really helping the channel grow a ton. So drop a like if you haven't already on this stream. Would really appreciate it. It helps push all of our videos out, our channel out, and people's algorithms on YouTube. And really goes a long way. So I hope you all have a good night and enjoy some good football that's hopefully injury free. Cheers, everybody.